Back to that breaking update on the young missing woman from Avondale. Her boyfriend behind bars tonight accused of stealing her car.
New tonight, police are confirming they found blood stains and potential weapons inside that car, which was found in Phoenix after she went missing. Our breaking news reporter Stephanie Duprey is in the newsroom. Steph, it sounds like the search is expanding well beyond the valley.
Yeah, Jared, at this point, the investigation has led detectives to Globe. That's where they're searching for 21-year-old Isabella Comas. They didn't say where in Globe or what pointed them there. Now, it's been over a week since Isabella went missing. She was last seen on Sunday, January 11th. And then on Tuesday, police found her red Hyundai Sonata abandoned near 67th Ave and Indian School Road in Phoenix. That same day, her cell phone was found at a recycling center also in Phoenix. Police say her boyfriend, 37-year-old Tommy Rodriguez, remains as a person of interest in her disappearance. He's behind bars right now, accused of stealing her car. There's even more concern for Isabella's well-being with that new evidence they found of blood stains and items that could be used as a weapon in her car.
We want the public to know that we believe that Isabella is seriously injured, and it's very important to us that we find her as quickly as possible.
Detectives booked Rodriguez into the Maricopa County Jail for criminal damage, auto theft, and probation violation, all felonies tied to Isabella's disappearance. He has previous felony convictions for stalking and second-degree murder. After being released from prison, he pleaded guilty to stalking and assaulting an ex-girlfriend in 2020. Now, detectives say they have crews in Globe and also here around the valley. They're asking anyone who might know anything or have information about her disappearance to contact police immediately. Live in the newsroom tonight, Stephanie Duprey for Arizona's Family.
Thanks for getting us up to speed. Hopefully they will find her.